So unfortunately, while putting together the passenger side here, what would not happen is I couldn't get a smooth rotation as would happen when you steer, unlike on the driver's side. So essentially, as the upper ball joint or the upper wishbone comes down here and engages with the top of the vertical link, there's that shaft from the ball joint that's got to fit in there, and that was clearly where it was binding up, which tells me that this connection here is not spinning along the same axis like it should. So as you would rotate the steering wheel, turn the steering wheel, and this would rotate along with that, this has got to stay in the same spot, at least within reason. Otherwise, you're going to put, torque on the top of that ball joint. You're going to mess it all up, and it's going to get bound up like it seems to be doing. So let's take a closer look at this vertical link here and see if we can figure out just by eyeballing it whether or not it's bent. So just looking at it here, what you can see is it kind of moves more vertical, right? The slope starts out where it's kind of edging in towards the center of the car, and then it goes straight up. So let's look at the driver's side now, where I don't have any issues with steerage, and see if it looks the same. So here's the driver's side. It's a little bit more put together, so a little bit more difficult to see, but you can see it comes up and stays straight on that axis, and that tells me at least that I've got a difference here. Well, this one steers fine and that one doesn't, so it tells me that the passenger side is probably bent. So now we'll take a different angle here and I'll show you, and we'll pretty much guarantee that the thing is bent. Really be able to show you. So we got the top of the vertical link here. You're looking down on it, and this is the hole where the upper wishbone, or excuse me, the upper ball joint would go in. I'm just going to hold this metal rod. We're going to hold that over top here, and I'm going to turn the vertical link as if I was driving. So I'm going to try my best to keep that rod in about the same spot, so you'll kind of have to trust me here and watch how that circle moves. So as I rotate it, it moves to the outside, rotate it the other way, it moves to the inside. So it's obviously not staying upon the same amount of axis, and that's going to put force either direction here on that ball joint and prevent it from turning smoothly. So let's go over to the driver's side and compare. A little bit more tricky here because it's got a little bit more weight. But anyway, same kind of test here. We're going to try to have that centered up, and we're going to turn it. And I'm kind of having a little bit of problems turning it, but hopefully you can see that it is turning along the same axis, and that upper circle is not really going anywhere. So it tells me that that vertical link over there is definitely bent. We'll do a little bit of disassembly and see what happens. Fortunately, or maybe not, the workshop manual has dimensions for these things. I do remember taking the dimensions. I don't remember seeing the bend. So we're going to take some dimensions, see how bad it is, and see if maybe if it's just in one axis, maybe I can use the press to try to help me square this thing back up. So we'll take this hub back apart, the disc caliper, the brake caliper connection hub thing back apart, and get it over to the press and get it over to the workbench, take some measurements first, and then get over to the press and see if I can't fix it. But we're probably going to be looking at a new vertical link in my future. So as I start to disassemble this for the first time ever, really, a manufacturer reached out to me to ask me to take advantage of a free offer for a product of theirs and review it and pretty much provide my opinion of it. I reached back out and said I would be happy to do that, but I had some caveats. One, I have total control of everything. They have no idea what I'm saying here. They have no idea what's going on, and that frankly, if the tools were terrible, I was going to say as much, but also that I would be respectful and all that other stuff. But anyway, and if you look around for these tools, you're going to find them all over the place. So they're probably in an advertising push. But Suzume, which is obviously a Chinese company, reached out and offered to give me a couple different options I had, but the one I chose was to give me a set of ratcheting wrenches, both a metric set and a standard set. There is a link to Amazon, which I'll put up here because I figure it's, you can choose your own opinion and look at the reviews and all that kind of stuff. But I'm going to be using those for the disassembly. I have started to use them so far. I do have a pair of Tekton ratcheting wrenches that I bought a long time ago, right when I first started before they really got popular and before I really started the Spitfire restoration. So I've had those for, pushing 10 years now. I've never had a problem with them. I do enjoy the ratcheting things. So what I found so far with these, they're pretty cool looking. They're gray. That's kind of nice. It's almost like painted vice an actual solid finish. They are a flex head, which my Tectons do not have, but you can't lock the flex head and you have to flip it for rotation. There's no ratcheting thing like you'll see on the Icons or some of the nicer models. As far as like its tightness to the bolts and everything like that, it's comparable to the Tectons and pretty much every wrench I use. It doesn't seem floppy or anything like that. It feels pretty good. The ratcheting paw is a little bit tighter. There's a little bit more gear teeth in here than the Tectons have. And but I haven't really run into, even with the Tectons, really haven't run into a problem with too small of a space to move this thing. I would use some different tool anyway. So we're going to use these throughout, and you'll see me using them and taking them out and using them with the ratcheting things. But all in all, I'm pretty happy so far. I'm not going to try, this isn't Torque Test Channel, I'm not going to try to fail the things or anything like that. But I'll just, at the end, I'll kind of give a summation of this after working for them for several days and hours and just let you know. But I figured I'd take advantage of some free tools, let you guys know as kind of a payback to them. But again, this is not necessarily sponsored or anything like that. This is my own opinion. They were free. One thing I will mention already is I'm not real crazy about the non-locking swivel heads, just because as you're wrenching on it, you know your arm's not going to be perfect, so you're going to turn off and it'll tend to bend on you, and you just kind of go the other way. It's more of an annoyance than anything. So I would probably look to try to get the ratcheting ones for that, or excuse me, the locking ones for that. The other thing is I don't like using the open ends on bolts, especially if I'm loosening them, along with that non-locking swivel head. If you want to get any oomph behind it, that swivel head will tend to move on you, and that can be annoying. All right, so I'll get this thing off and we'll come back and see what measurements look like. So I got the vertical link here in the workshop manual, and unfortunately none of the measurements in the workshop manual really, one, they're hard because it's all at angles and everything like that, and two, I don't really think any of them are going to tell me what my eyeball doesn't. So with the exception I told you about it bending here, it appears to me that the stub down here is not square up the center here, and it bends that way a little bit. In my very limited experience when I've seen this kind of stuff on the forums and everything like that, these things will fail and they'll bend and eventually snap down here. So it wouldn't surprise me that that's the case. I think I'm going to go over to the press anyway and try to bend this curve out a little bit. I'm not going to try to bend this thing. There's no way that I'm going to be able to do that properly. But again, I'm going to go over to the press, see if I can bend this out a little bit, and then put it up there and see if it works. But I'm not expecting any miracles here. So you probably can't tell, but I was able to straighten that actually halfway decently, but that didn't make a difference whatsoever. So if I had seen a little bit of response, I may have kept at it a little bit, but nothing. So I'm pretty sure that's what it is the threads down here are bent, and I'm not going to be able to really do anything about that, at least not that I know how to. So unfortunately, we'll have to try to obtain another part, and the trick with that is finding one that's not bent in the same way. And I don't know how you do that without trusting somebody, which it's what my favorite forum is for. I haven't had any issues on there from anybody not giving me exactly what I had asked for and what they advertised. So we'll reach out to the favorite forum, see if I can pick up a new one of these, get it down, get it cleaned up, swap it out, and cross my fingers and hope that solves the problem. So until then, we'll continue on with other stuff. So as expected, my favorite forum comes through. Got a new vertical link, and it's a little harder to spin just because I don't have it fully seated or anything like that, but no binding or anything like that. I did have to take the shock back out and all that and compress the spring, otherwise the angles don't line up. So I'm going to obviously have to leave the spring compressed, but I'll be able to go ahead now, get this thing back out here, get it blasted, get it painted, get it in the car, and then hopefully wrap this front suspension up. Got the new vertical link here all painted up, ready to go. Got the rubber seal on there, so I'll go ahead, get this guy screwed down. Just like before, we'll go all the way in until it bottoms out. Right about there, so. Then come back. Put the steering lock guy in there just so I don't lose it. Bring the upper wishbone down. And big old nut and bolt, or flat washer. And that's a 3/4. We'll get that guy in there. And then we got to do the new stub axle. Actually, let me take that steering lock out so I can spin this all the way, make it easier to get the stub axle in. Gonna put a little bit of oil inside the cavity there. Just try to prevent a little bit of incidental rust and everything. We'll get that guy tightened down and then continue assembly. Stub axle is in, no problem. 60 foot-pounds on that guy. Vertical link turns just fine. It's a little stiff, but nothing that I don't think it coming, getting lubricated and all that stuff will take care of. Ran into a problem down here with the trunnion. So let me zoom on this real quick. I'll show you. As you can see here, this part of the trunnion, the shaft here is knurled, and you get washers, these guys here, and I know that's kind of hard to see. Kind of an extreme close-up here, but you put that washer on there, and as you tighten this bolt, it's supposed to cut the knurling into this washer. It's not already there. Now you can see, if you can see on the inside edge, it's just starting to have some cut in it because I tried to start this, and what ended up happening is I destroyed one of the bolts. So what I'm afraid of is that as I tighten this thing up, I'm going to start to eat the threading on the shaft of the trunnion, and I don't want to do that. These things are about $100 a pop from TRF because they're, you know, halfway decent ones and made by TRF themselves to factory specs. So it's a quality piece here, and I'm not seeing any destruction of the knurling. So I think that the metal here is stiffer than that washer, but man, I'm really putting a lot of torque on it, and it's just like I said, I'm frying the nut doing that, and I think eventually I'm going to run into a problem where I'm just going to run out of luck, and I'm going to eat those threads and then have to disassemble everything. So the old knurling, unfortunately, on the old trunnions is a little bit different. So the old washers, though I wouldn't put them on there because the things are destroyed, the old washers don't fit on the new one, and I can't use the old trunnion to cut new knurls into this because, again, the pattern's not the same. So I'm kind of at an impasse here. I don't want to cause any damage or have to disassemble everything. Obviously, I've got the problem on both sides. So if you guys have any ideas or know how this works so that you can get these things cut in here without eating something and taking your chance on destroying something, I'd appreciate whatever help or ideas that you have. Real quick, I'd like to thank Suzumi for offering to send me the set of metric and standard ratcheting wrenches here. I'll put the ranges that you get if you get this set and the price up real quick. If these are pretty much for the home DIYer, not the serious mechanic or anything. That's how they're advertised for people that are, you know, need a good set, halfway decent set of wrenches, but aren't using them every day or a professional use of them. Would I purchase these given where I am now? No, I wouldn't, because they're not any better than the Tekton set that I have. They are more cost effective, they're cheaper, but so if I did not own a set of these, would I consider these? Sure, I would, but I might go with something else depending on, you know, the brand name if I had the money. But if you're going to use these, you know, just a couple times a year, a month, whatever, yeah, sure, they're definitely an option to look at. Held up pretty well. I personally don't like the fact that you can't lock the head, but that's, again, the next level that you would expect and to pay more for. I did drop them, a couple of them, several times. I didn't notice any chips or anything in the finish. I do kind of like the gray look. I think that's pretty cool. The gold is a little too blingy for me, but otherwise, if you don't have a set of these and you're looking to pick up a set inexpensively for what you get, I would recommend that. But otherwise, I would not buy these to replace the set that you currently have. There is no lifetime warranty on these that I could figure out. I did reach out and ask about it. And if there was a lifetime warranty, I think that the response would have been very clearly stating that, but it did not. You know, you go to Harbor Freight, you bring a tool back, they give you another one. Tekton, which is what I use, I've returned several tools to them that I've broken. You take a quick photograph online, send it to them, and like in days, you get a new tool back. So that's very painless. You can reach out to them, obviously, to claim a warranty, but it's not essentially a no questions asked, send us and we'll send you a new tool kind of thing. So that's something to consider in the price and how much you're going to use it. So again, thank you to Zuzumi for offering to send these tools for free. And I did tell them I would be honest, so hopefully you guys feel like I was that way. So that's going to wrap up the video here. Obviously, I'm going to stop where I am given the difficulties that I'm having with these washers. And I don't want to keep going now. So we're going to obviously move probably to the rear differential. Thanks again. Thanks to Zuzumi. Thanks for everybody for watching, liking, and subscribing. I appreciate your help. Again, if you got any ideas for cutting these knurls into these washers, I'd appreciate it. Otherwise, have a good rest of your day. Thanks again. Cheers.